And this next fight, we got a fight in the 155-pound division between two newcomers to the UFC. Mateusz Rebecki, he tore through Rodrigo Lidia on the Contender Series, making him submit just 3 minutes and 5 seconds into the first round. That fight moved Rebecki's win streak to 13. He hasn't lost since 2014, and definitely is a solid addition to the UFC. His last fight was his first fight in the United States, but Rebecki has tested himself against good opposition, fighters from different styles, from different countries. And he's about as experienced as you can get for a fighter making their debut in the UFC on the Polish regional scene. His first amateur fight was November 2013, so he's approaching 10 years in MMA. And the UFC is where he needs to be. And for Nick Fiore, this is a short notice fight for him. He's looking to start 2023 with some momentum. And he's 6-0 overall. He went 3-0 in 2022. He just won November 19th. And he's taken a massive step up in competition here. He's had 6 hand-picked opponents to get to the UFC. And a lot of fighters on that Northeast MMA scene tend to pad their records, especially in the combat zone promotion, I've noticed. And that's where Fiore has had 5 of his 6 fights. Nick Fiore has handled his opposition accordingly. He's finished all of them in the first round. His longest fight as a pro has went 3 minutes and 56 seconds. As an amateur, Fiore went 5-1, and that's where he did fight a couple of decent fighters. He faced off with Ali Zebian, a fighter who is a Bellator, a PFL veteran, currently 9-2 as a pro. He submitted him. He also beat another Bellator veteran in Nathan Jarib, who's 7-2 currently as a pro. For Fiore, at his first amateur bout in 2016, so he's been on this journey for a good bit now. Now it's time to finally reach pay dirt. And style-wise, this is a really fun fight for grappling fans. Both these fighters are really, really good jiu-jitsu guys. Nick Fiore is a black belt jiu-jitsu instructor at Renzo Gracie, New Hampshire. Fiore has competed. He's won in various jiu-jitsu competitions. And Mateusz Rebecki, he's a black belt, 2-time ADCC gold medalist. And it's a bit tough to really know what level Nick Fiore is in MMA, though, because we know Nick Fiore for sure is a beast on the ground. He's tall, rangy, which aids him in his grappling style, but he hasn't really shown too much. He's pretty good at getting fights to the ground in the clinch or getting the back from standing, and once he hits the mat, he has really fast transitions, really dangerous with the submission game. He'll give up position for submission, but he can chain takedown or submissions together, until he finishes them. And he'll also use his ground and pound fairly effectively. But his one amateur loss came due to getting slammed. And I don't really rate Fiore striking or wrestling in space. And I could say he has bad striking, but I haven't really seen enough to be definitive with that. And he looks one-dimensional at this point, but he is a beast on the ground. He's tall, long, he's tough to deal with. Cardio-wise, he hasn't really been tested in a long fight. He's never been a decision, amateur or pro. And he's never been out of the first round as a pro fighter yet. So it's just, he hasn't put enough on film for us to be confident in how good he truly is overall. But Mateusz Rebecki is the more experienced fighter by a mile, and he's going to be looking to get the job done early here. He's finished 14 of his 16 wins, 9 in round 1. His one loss came inside the distance as well. And Rebecki has the opposite body frame of Fiore. He is short, compact, but he's more explosive, faster, more powerful. He likes to hold his hands low, and he has pretty good speed, head movement, powerful hooks, and overhands. And he comes forward and backward in straight lines. He tends to load up and get wild, so the counter opportunities are there, but Rebecki's power, athleticism, and threat of the level change make him tough to strike with. And I think in this fight, it might be smart to go with the sprawl and brawl type of game plan. He was fighting with Omar Morales here originally, so Omar Morales is a good striker, so I'm sure that Rebecki's striking is going to be sharp, on point, and I feel like he's the more experienced and better striker in this matchup. But Rebecki's a guy who's confident on the feet, doesn't force takedowns, but he uses pressure explosiveness to back fighters up, and he will shoot in, get them to the ground. Super physical, strong, and usually he can manhandle most opponents. When he gets on top, he has great top pressure. His scrambling ability is good, and his ground and pound is just elite. He tends to get more finishes with ground and pound than submissions, and a lot of his submissions came early in his career, and most of them were via heel hook. He has 3 heel hooks, 2 arm bars, and a rear naked choke. And I haven't seen Rebecki in the cage with another really good aggressive submission fighter, but he most definitely knows how to defend submissions. He's not going to be outmatched in the grappling room with Fiore, and Rebecki's cardio is really good. It's really tough to go against Mateusz Rebecki in this fight. Fiore's going to be the longer and taller fighter by a pretty big margin, but he just has too many question marks. There's potential that Fiore has some striking in the back pocket, but we haven't seen that. And I think that Rebecki is a lot more powerful, explosive. He's faster. The wrestling, I favor Rebecki by a wide margin. I find it tough to see Fiore taking Rebecki down. There is an opportunity for Fiore if Rebecki gets on top and takes down Fiore. Maybe he could sweep him, but even there, he's in Rebecki's world. I think it's going to be really hard to catch Rebecki off bottom. And if Rebecki gets swept and ends up on his back, I think that'll be the best case scenario for Fiore. But personally, I don't see that happening. I think Nick Fiore may end up being a good fighter. We don't really know, but he has to take his licks, and I don't think after fighting 6 low-level fighters and finishing them all in the first round, he's going to be able to step up and take out an established fighter who's been in there with the better opposition and bigger promotions. So I'm going to say Rebecki wins via second-round ground and pound TKO here, and I think that he's just going to take him down and maul him here. I could even see a first-round TKO, but I got to go with Mateusz Rebecki in this one to get the job done.